a little story about creating. It was summertime, and it was hot. Mieszko lay sprawled out on the carpet, not really interested in his toy train anymore. He was really unhappy because he kept hoping to go visit the seaside. But days and then weeks went by, and he was still stuck at home with Dad. His mom had to work all summer, so they couldn't really go anywhere for too long. Weekend trips to the forest and visiting his cousins were fun. These hot, balmy weekdays seemed like they were getting longer and longer. Mieszko got up and pulled out his crayons and paper and began to draw. The sand, the water, a boat, a kite in the shape of a race car, and also a sand buggy, a special one, with ice cream and gold wings with a robot next to it. A robot to build the coolest sand castles with giant moats and drawbridges. After a while, his younger brother joined him, chewing away on something very loudly. "What you eatin', Romek?" Mieszko asked his brother. "Chocolate crisps? Daddy gave me some," answered a very happy Romek. "Hey, I want some too." "Go ask Dad then. He's in the kitchen." Mieszko ran off to do just that. He was gone for a while. While in the kitchen, he told his dad all about his drawing he was working on, and he asked if they could hang it up on the wall when he was finished. "We don't have enough walls for all your art, Mr. Artist," laughed Dad. "And besides, it's the drawing part you like most. The final product is just a result of that." "Oh, but I really want to hang this one up. Please, please, please." He returned to his room with his bowl of crisps, but it fell right out of his hands as soon as he saw what had become of his picture, which now lay on the floor torn to bits. "What did you do? Dad, how could you? That's my robot," he started shouting. Dad came immediately and spent the next couple of minutes trying to calm him down and understand what had happened. "He wanted to destroy my robot that can build sandcastles." "Not true. I just made us train tickets," swore Romek. "Out of my picture? Are you crazy?" snapped Mieszko. "Boys, I think this is just a regular misunderstanding," Dad interjected. "Roman, before you take someone's work, you have to make sure it's okay. And Mieszko, I'm very sorry this happened, but he didn't do it on purpose, and you can draw another robot." But Mieszko had no intention of doing so. He ran out of the house and over to a pond, which was really just a big puddle in the yard. He was so angry. He picked up some rocks and hurled them at the water. He did that a couple of times until he finally got tired and slumped down on the grass. He tossed a few more stones. It felt really satisfying because a beautiful ring pattern would appear on the water as soon as he tossed a pebble in. He felt his anger slipping away and sleepiness taking over. Suddenly, he heard a splash, even though he hadn't thrown anything. Then he heard another, and suddenly a little fish face was looking up at him. The fish was all gold, just like the wings he had drawn that Romek destroyed. "Are you a goldfish? One that grants wishes?" he asked. I guess I could be," responded the fish. And you live in this puddle? Mieszko asked suspiciously. I guess I do, the fish responded, in a way that you could tell that if he had shoulders, he'd be shrugging them. But that all really depends on you. What do you mean? I don't think I understand, Mieszko murmured as he stared intently at this little creature. This is your imagination, your story. You could create whatever you want. I don't really care. But why do you need something to grant wishes? The fish asked resolutely. Well, because then I could ask you to fix my robot drawing. Or better yet, said the boy, you could make a real robot that would make sandcastles so when we go to the seaside. But you can do all that on your own, the fish interrupted. You know best what it should look like. You've already got it in your head. Now you can draw it or make it out of these buckets and cardboard, said the fish, nodding to a pile of boxes by the shed. But it'll turn out the best if you just focus, close your eyes, and think robot, and then it will appear. Mieszko had nothing to lose. He squeezed his eyes shut, and just as he was picturing that perfect robot in front of him, the neighbor's rooster crowed, making him jump, and as he opened his eyes, there was something standing next to him, but it didn't really look like anything. Oops, guess you weren't very focused, huh? Commented the fish. But luckily, this creation Mieszko had made disappeared as he closed his eyes and tried again. And snap! That robot he had dreamed of was standing right next to him. It was perfect, even better than the one he had drawn. It looked exactly like he'd imagined. The boy was overjoyed. Now all they had to do was get to the seaside. But just like his creation before, this robot started disappearing. No, shouted the boy. Why? He asked the fish who was observing all this from the puddle. What do you mean? You created exactly what you wanted. Wasn't that the point? The fish asked. But Mieszko tried to think of something to say, but his mind had already drifted to designing an even better version of that robot. Because although his one had been pretty amazing, he could still make it even better. And maybe with some gold wings. You see, that's the fun part, said the fish, as though it already knew exactly what Mieszko was thinking. Creating. Patterns on the water disappear too, but they're fun to make. The little boy thought long and hard about this. Then he closed his eyes again, and when they opened, he had made a new robot, this time with wings. Then he made another one with big off-roading wheels and another one with an antenna. Then he made another one. Then he started creating yellow rockets and diamond race cars and giant chocolate crisp slides, then a tree full of meteorites. The strangest things would appear and disappear, and Mieszko was so happy he could burst. But creating can be exhausting, so after a while he needed a rest. So he created a giant white recliner made out of clouds and put it right next to the puddle, winking at the fish who was still watching all of this. sure if he had fallen asleep or just closed his eyes again, but he decided it was time to go back because he was getting hungry, and it wasn't very nice how he had just stormed out of the house like that. But when he went back inside, he saw his daddy and Romek, who still looked a little upset, working hard on something. "We taped your picture back together, and it's ready to be hung," Dad exclaimed proudly. "No need," said Mieszko. "Really?" Dad asked, surprised. "Really. The most important thing is that I got to enjoy making it, and now I want to make something new." "Oh, I see," said Dad. "That's wonderful. In that case, what would you say to making some pancakes together?" "Yes!" shouted both of the brothers at the same time and raced each other to the kitchen.